Kim Miller is the Executive Director of LearningRx, which is our show location today. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much. We're happy to have you.
So one of the exciting things, Kim has been involved with several events around the area, runs, and we'll get to a little bit why that's important in a second, but she's been involved with our Run Denver series and the Great Candy Run. And first of all, as many of you know on the show, that I'm the founder of the Great Candy Run and the Fetal Health Foundation, and she's been a longtime sponsor. And one of our favorite things to do is all of our great sponsors, and Kim certainly fits the bill with LearningRx. We want to present you this little token of our appreciation for the Great Candy Run.
Thank you so much. We're very proud to be part of the Candy Fun Run and what you do in supporting fetal health and overall health. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. So we'll put that right there so you guys get a great shot of that. So Kim, LearningRx is very interesting, and I'm going to have you explain a little bit more to that. So tell us a little bit more about LearningRx.
So what we do is we work with people of all ages, mainly children that struggle with learning disabilities of some kind. They may be diagnosed, they may not be diagnosed, but in some way or another, they've had struggles in the process of how to learn. With adults, it's more in how to learn or perform. So what we do is we assess the 7 key skills that make up the way we learn and perform, things like memory, reading, how we process information, how we plan and strategize in life in general. And so we assess those through a gold standard assessment used with educational psychologists and different hospitals and whatnot called the Woodcock-Johnson 3. And that allows us to kind of look under the hood as to why that person might struggle. So if you have an issue with, say, processing speed and how quickly your brain processes information, but you have really strong abilities, there could be some frustration in those connecting. If you have a memory issue and perhaps family history of dementia or Alzheimer's or whatnot, to be able to do brain training to strengthen the underlying weaknesses can be restorative and prevent things in the future, or it can change through one-on-one brain training, which is a game-like procedure. We can actually change those neural pathways and create new neurons so that those weaknesses now become strong. And it's a life change versus if we go to the gym or we go running, right, and we train for all of these runs, you're fixing your body and you're getting fit. But when the body stops, then sometimes we revert backwards. Whereas the brain as a muscle, once it's fixed, it's a lifetime fix. So unlike tutoring, where information is put into the brain, if there are those holes underneath, you may not be able to hold and retain that information. Once we fix those holes, then there can be a fix for life in that process.
I just forgot what you said. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. But actually, one of the important things I want to bring out is so people that I have worked with are actually using LearningRx for some of their children. And and if you're sitting there as a parent sometimes, and a lot of our audience, they have kids, and they might be struggling one way or another, and they're thinking, well, they're not special. Sorry to say, like special needs kids,
right?
But they're struggling in one area, they're having difficulty in this, and this is really an area that you can help out with that too.
Absolutely. We have areas where we can do enhancement when kids are getting into high school age or college age and prepping for ACTs in their future. We work with gifted and talented kids, and so we work with kids that may have attention issues, just one thing or another. So it may not be a true disability, but it could be just something that's holding them back or causing a frustration. Often our cognitive underlying skills can lead to behavioral issues, impulsivity and different things like that. So really, all of us can use brain training because we all have areas in which we'd like to improve. And so the best way to find out if someone is questioning could they perform better in life is to go through an assessment. And that assessment is a $600 value at an educational specialist or a children's hospital. We do offer a special because of our partnership with Running Denver and the Candy Fun Run for just $79 for that assessment. And that gives a big picture and comes with a consultation. So even just to find out where our strengths and weaknesses is really a great value to us.
When you spoke a little bit about gifted, talented too, I think a lot of times with having children myself, and they have excelled in a lot of areas, but they show high anxiety, they get nervous about tests, they're worried about getting 99%, they didn't get 100% and stuff like that. So it can be a real challenge for parents too on the other end of the spectrum, where you have a child that's excelling at things, but they are over anxious and have such anxiety around things that it almost makes school not fun for them.
Right, right. And in those kids, we do often find, it's very common, we might find processing speed is a little slower with those super high abilities. Like, say your girls have amazing reading skills. They love to read and their reading is amazing. But you may not know this, but they're feeling it, that it takes them a little bit longer to read. This is just an example of what it could be. Then the gap in the strength, even though maybe the processing speed is still over average, but if the reading skill is at 98% and the processing speed is at 58%, a 40% gap can cause that type of anxiety or frustration or, pressure that they're putting upon themselves. So sometimes it's just one thing that's a little bit off. If we think of the brain, we want all the gears to work together as best as possible. And so that's what we're analyzing in that assessment. And we're looking to see what is it that the parent tells us is going on. And sometimes if the kids are old enough, what are they feeling, or an adult? And then what is it that the assessment tells us? And 99.9% of the time, those things are matching up. And so it's whether our program's the right fit at that point.
Right. And so that's very important. That's an amazing deal, because usually a $600 value that you're getting for a $79 assessment. But that's so important because we always want to do well for our children. And for the most part, we hope the public schools and stuff like that are doing well. But they're managing a ton of kids and a wide spectrum, and it's really hard for them just experiencing it on my personal, my own children. It can be really difficult to make sure that they're getting the attention they need. So it's great to have a program like this. And it makes complete sense because as runners, we set a goal, we go out and we train for it, we work hard, and then repeat that stuff. But we really, on a daily basis, aren't doing that for our brains and our cognitive skills at all.
Right, and that's something that, looking towards the future, in the population we work with, and even we have, like I said, some adults that come in that have, memory issues and whatnot. But the more optimal performance we can have, right, the better it is for all of us. We feel better. We're less anxious. We're more motivated, and brings a lot of confidence. And that's one of the first things we see from our program, that everything here is positive, 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 and really focused on those strengths and those accomplishments. And sometimes our kids, whether they are performing well grade-wise, there still may be a social anxiety part of things that they're not performing as well at. And so this can relate to sports, it can relate to personal life and social life, and the ability to interact with people in general, just having those things strengthened. So having that picture is also very important. If kids do play sports or running or whatnot, we work a lot with traumatic brain injuries. So any head injury can cause a concussion or can cause some movement in the brain, which can cause a loss of some of cognitive abilities, particularly in the memory area. So it's really important, even, if people weren't going to move forward with a program, to have a baseline of where, you're at, where your strengths and weaknesses are, is really, I think, just an unbelievable tool.
That's fantastic. And, one of the great things is we're talking about, and you've been involved with the running community, and so tell us about why that's important, because obviously we're talking about brain training here. Why is it important that you're involved with the running community?
Right. So, well, first of all, my 10-year-old just turned 10 last week. He just got really hooked on the first time we went to the Candy Fun Run, and so he's now wanting to participate in all of the runs, and he's setting himself goals. He's a soccer player, and he lacks endurance, and so this has actually given him that chance. He also is very into the community, but for me, physical health, brain health, it's the same thing. If we're working our bodies and want them to perform optimally, we should be working our minds as well. And often, the two relate very closely together. When we're in our best shape, both physically and mentally, we're going to perform at our best. The brain is a little different than the body. That, like I said, the brain holds things for life, the muscles in the brain create those new neural pathways. The body we have to work at a little bit more and consistently. But overall holistic health is extremely important to us. And we've had kids and people come in on medications for attention issues or for other behavioral issues, and been able to either taper those down or go off of medication, or we have parents that don't want those kids on medication. So the more holistic approach and the less that we have to put in our body from a chemical perspective, is very important to us.
Great. Well, thank you, Kim, so much. And really, truly, we've had some of our own staff with Running
Yes.
Denver bring in their children, and they have been so thrilled because it's made an absolute huge difference where they know their kids are bright. They're just having that little bit of difficulty, and you've been able to completely change them around, and now they're enjoying school
Yep.
and not being as frustrated and, quite frankly, enjoying life a lot more. So thank you very much, Kim. And if you want to check out more from LearningRx, they can find out information by...
You can go on our website at www.learningrx.com, or you can call us, and please make sure people mention that they heard of us through Running Denver to get that special deal at 303-741-2300.
Thank you so much, Kim, very much. We really appreciate you allowing us to shoot here today at LearningRx and learning more about your wonderful program. If you'd like to check out other great interviews like we had with Kim, make sure you visit us at runningdenver.com.